Mayor Jesse Nelson, in Lynn Haven, at tonight's city council meeting, turned into George Washington or James Madison, Thomas Jefferson. Quote, the Constitution, he says, and he gave us a constitutional lesson. I'm starting to think maybe he does have a doctorate of leadership. I mean, he showed his scholarship today. All right, obviously, I'm not doing what I did yesterday, a facts-only show. Are you kidding me? Look where that got me. You know, so if you're not up on it, the Lynn Haven police chief on December 30th left a bar at 3:30 in the morning, crashed the hell out of a guy's car, and just decided was going to leave him, sticking with the bill, $3,500 of damage at least. And he tried to leave, a hit and run, and he might have got away with it too, except for another patron chased him down. And then the police chief was arrested on February 6th and given a notice to appear. Yeah, it took that long for them to finally file the criminal traffic citation, leaving the scene of an accident with damage more than $50. That's a second-degree misdemeanor. And so the police chief has hired a defense attorney, Waylon Graham, and waived the arraignment that you have to go to when you get what? Arrested. Just because he wasn't cuffed and stuffed, and just because it's not a felony, don't think it's not an arrest. It is an arrest. Police chief was arrested. And nobody to this moment has said that word. Nobody said the word. He was arrested. And that triggers, by the way, by law, by Florida statute, that triggers the employing agency of any officer in Florida. If a police officer or law enforcement officer is arrested, regardless whether it's prosecuted or not, the employing agency must do an internal investigation and give the findings to the FDLE. Now, maybe one of you can type this in because evidently nobody really went and looked it up. I mean, I showed you this stuff yesterday, but why is nobody? Look, I really can't do everything. I cannot do everything. How come nobody has written and attached the charging document, the FHP report that the city commission pretends they can't get? Here it is. Look, I'll show. I got it. These people. It was really like watching the Hunger Games. It looks like the Hunger Games. See, this is let's see. Here's the arrest report. This is the FHP arrest report. You see this circle? It says what? Arrest. For who? For Chief Ramey. Very bottom. Richard George Ramey. All right. So there's an arrest report. And they're acting like, well, we got to wait 60 days before we get any arrest report. No, you don't. No, you don't. And look at this. This is from what I was saying is, why is nobody taking these documents, mailing them to, here, are you ready? Please write it down. Well, it's right here. You can see it right on the bottom. Florida is the FDLE, Florida's Criminal Justice Professional Compliance Process. That's the manual. But there it is, produced by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE, Criminal Justice Professionalism. Now, as it happens, the chairman of that board is our very own Sheriff Tommy Ford. And Sheriff Tommy Ford is also derelict in his duty, and he knows it. But if nobody brings it to the attention, I mean, this would be a really good project. This would be a great project. Find out the names of the board members. Every single board member cannot be corrupt. And send this to them. And here's what you attach. Look at this. This is from the FDLE. According to Florida statutes and Florida Administrative Code, if an officer commits an act of misconduct and the officer's employing agency, in this case, the city of Lynn Haven, has cause to believe, I'm going to show you cause to believe. There it is. But these people in Lynn Haven, they act like the FHP report is, their investigation report is no cause to believe. Hey, FHP, the city of Lynn Haven thinks you guys are a bunch of punks. I mean, honest to God, your report, your arrest doesn't mean anything. And it's difficult for me. Like if you were a, I don't know, if you were a professional photographer, like really like the top-notch professional photographer, and you had a group of people that had a club, a photography club, and maybe you went to visit this club, and they were all talking about how to take pictures the right way, and they I was told that that they might have control of my computer. Oh boy. All right, I guess I'm on. Am I on? Can you see me? All right. I'm looking at comments. If you can see me, I'm going to continue because I need to tell you this. They really do not want you to hear this because, as I was saying, in Mexico Beach, Mayor Miller has succeeded in getting the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee there. I mean, she broke past the state representative, Griff Griffiths, and the state senator, Jay Trumbull. Can see you now. Okay, I'm rolling. I'm sticking around. And what's happening there is unbelievable. So they don't want this to happen in the other cities as well, like Panama City and Lynn Haven and Callaway. And one thing that they have in common are the lawyers. They hire the same attorneys. So these attorneys have a grip on several municipalities and the county. And they have the same strategies. And it's just wild. But if you want to break through the ceiling, if you want to get this the attention it deserves, go here and send them a letter and say the police chief was arrested. And that means what? That means this. That triggers, according to you guys, see this? Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Criminal Justice Professionalism. That's who you want to contact. All right. And the chairman is Sheriff Tommy Ford. But make sure every board member gets it. Make sure the FDLE gets it. That doesn't mean that they're going to do the right thing either. But guess what? The more pressure points that are applied, and they are all over now, the harder it is for them. These people are panicked. So attach this right here. This shows, I was reading this when it went blank. If they have cause to believe, and they do, he was arrested. If they have cause to believe that an officer has not maintained the minimum standards to be certified and or has committed a violation of good moral character, then the employing agency must conduct an internal investigation, concluding with an official disposition. And look at this. What triggers it? Look at the red arrow. Notification of an officer's arrest. By law, they must do an internal investigation. But they are pretending that they're not allowed. I'll prove it. All right, so if the Florida Department, if the criminal, this is the actual title of the commission, the Criminal Justice and Professional Standards Commission. That's what Tommy Ford's the chairman. The Criminal Justice and Professional Standards Commission with FDLE. If they get all this, every board member gets this. Somebody's eventually going to have to act and force the Lynn Haven Commission to follow the law. Because they have to, by law, do an internal investigation. But they said, Mayor Nelson today said that the Constitution, that they can't punish the police chief because of the Constitution. All right, I'm going to show you what happened there. Also, do you know that every single member of the commission, all four of them, Judy Vandergrift, wait till you see their body language, Judy Vandergrift, Jamie Warwick, Sam Peebles, and Pat Perno, all four of them were all kept in the dark. None of them knew that Chief Ramey was arrested for a hit and run until I broke the story a week ago. They found out, all of them, all four of them. You know why? Because city manager Vicki Gaynor and the mayor, they hid it from them. And Friday, during their pre-meeting, she said, well, it got out. And when it got out, obviously then I had to notify everybody. Could you imagine there's 5 members of a commission: Pat Perno, Sam Peebles, Jamie Warwick, and Judy Vandergriff. That's 4-1. That's a 4-1 vote. But they look scared to death. Incidentally, they all have blue shirts on. You're going to love this video. They all have blue shirts on, and in the middle, the mayor is sitting there in a dark navy blue jacket, and Vicky Gaynor, the city manager, the two that were keeping secrets along with the city attorney from the rest of the commission, they were sitting there. They're sitting there together, and boy, down on the end is the attorney who is committing the biggest bar violations, giving bad, malicious advice to his own commission. But here's the wild thing. What is that condition if you get kidnapped, right? And you're held hostage, and you end up sort of liking or falling in love with your captors. What's that condition called? Stockholm syndrome, is that right? You know, that's what these people look like. All the people in the blue shirts look like they're in uniforms. They've been kidnapped. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I know that these members of the commission, all 4 that I mentioned, they're scared to death to get sued personally. So now they are paralyzed to act. So they are allowing the residents in Lynn Haven to be at risk from a vulgar and vindictive cop that's not above hit and run, not above anything. And there may be more than one accident. What? What are you talking about, Bernie? Might be more than one accident. Yeah, there might be. Well, what evidence do you have, Thompson? Well, I would point, first of all, to State Attorney Larry Bassford himself. Now, this guy is the top prosecutor in 6 counties. In the 14th Judicial Circuit, or as Ricky Ramey and the rest of them say, the 14th District. They think they're in the Hunger Games, really. So, State Attorney Larry Bassford, officer of the court, can't lie, would never do that, Larry Bassford. And way smarter than any of us. I mean, he wrote a letter to Governor DeSantis that said that the police chief was involved in a hit and run. He said, leaving the scene of an accident with injury. And so did the governor. The governor handed over an executive order to the state attorney in Pensacola, the first Judicial Circuit, Ginger Bowden Madden, and it says, the executive order says that Chief Ricky Ramey left the scene of a crime with injury. Now, maybe they all just made a mistake. Now, what would that say about their competency? Because if I'm the governor, think about it. If I'm the governor and I find out a police chief left a hit and run with an injury, I'm making phone calls. Hey, State Attorney Bassford, I think it's probably a good idea that you want to. I'm not going to give it to your ex-girlfriend, though. See, I wouldn't do that if I was the governor. I'd find somebody else, and not Jack Campbell on the other side either, by the way. But I would be saying, police chief with injury? Tell me about this before I assign it to somebody else. And then Bassford could say, I just miswrote that, And the governor could say, well, damn, you almost made me miswrite it. Well, they all did. So there could be another accident. And if you are in law enforcement and you know there was another accident or two, and you're involved in covering it up, you might want to reevaluate. Because here's what I'm hearing. The commissioners, all in blue, I swear to God, they look like they're blue uniforms. They're all scared to death of getting sued personally. They think that if they punish the police chief for the crime that he committed, how do you know he committed it, Bernie? The jury of his peers, or they might get dismissed. We saw it on video. You gaslighting mother. We saw it on video. You all are the biggest gaslighters, and you won't have the protection racket forever. But here's what's even more important. For those of you, and it's virtually all of you, even you, who say, man, I really want to do the right thing, but I don't want to get sued over it. Man, I hold a public trust. You know, I could stand, if I'm a commissioner, I could stand up and say, well, geez, we don't want this police chief to end up, you know, hurting somebody. So I'm gonna move that we act now. And but imagine being the type of person that holds that kind of public trust, and you're too paralyzed to act because, boy, you might get sued. Or you might, you know, if you tell everybody that maybe, and I don't know for sure if there was more than one accident, but if you do, you at some point you're going to have to do the right thing, or blood's on your hands, and your reputation, that's going to be on you. But I might get fired. My boss might yell at me. I can't believe the level of people in the world today. I mean, geez, you got Jesse Nelson quoting the Constitution in a minute, and all these guys here, they're too afraid to act because we might get sued. You know, then step aside and let others lead the way. I mean, these are churchgoers too, a lot of them. You know, they're heroes in the Bible are not the ones that said, man, I would have done the right thing, but it was risky. The people you admire most are not the people. The people you admire most and you tell your kids about. You do not say, yeah, they wanted to do the right thing, but they were scared and it was really uncomfortable. And people made fun of them on Facebook. What kind of person are you? I mean, I'm telling you, we can't have a country unless you grow a pair. That's what I'm telling you. All right, let's get to it. All right, so I'm going to show you the commission meeting and the 4 scared to death commissioners. Oh man, it is funny in a sense, actually, to watch 4 people be this scared to do the right thing. It is interesting. It's a hot time in Florida, and my friend Ryan could make sure your air conditioning is running at peak efficiency. He could even install a new one, built to a higher standard, American standard. Find out more at PCAirRepair.com.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
All right, so there were several good speakers. There were 8 people that went up to that were brave enough to walk up to these commissioners, and tell them what they thought. And what they thought was that Vicki Gaynor, really the city manager, to hide that. She knew on January 22nd, according to her own statement. So God knows when she really knew that there were potential charges going to be filed against criminal charges against the police chief, and she never told the 4 commissioners. They found out from my show. And by the way, they all say they've done their due diligence. I'm going to tell you, can I say one more thing before I say the video? This is another thing that shows what kind of character you have. I mean, you can go to church and wear your religion on your sleeve and, you know, all the things. But for you to find out the facts from me and then continue to try to discredit and cancel me and say, you know, not one of them called me and said, damn, Bernie, I don't normally agree with you, but hats off, dude. I learned this from you. Not one of them. Look, I'm not complaining. I'm only telling you this because it shows what kind of people they are. All the blue shirts here. Yeah, misinformation, and you learned it from my show. And what's crazy is your city manager is the one that kept it from you. She's the one that lied to you. And now they all say, we're going to leave it up to her to decide what happens. Some of you will say, but Bernie, that's because she's the only one with the authority. We don't have the authority to fire anybody. You're wrong. Pull up the city charter. What the city charter says is that the city manager can recommend, right? She can choose, confirmed by the police chief, rather. The city manager hires the police chief, but it is confirmed by the commission. It is not just her unilaterally. They are all pretending that the city manager unilaterally hires and fires the police chief. That's utter and complete bullshit. Another one of their lies. Look it up in the city charter. You'll say, Bernie, but it only says how they hire it. It doesn't say how they fire. Oh, well then in law, says Bernie the attorney, it's a joke. It's a joke. I'm not an attorney. You go by the rules of statutory construction. Okay? There's ways that this is done. And who knows this? It's Kevin Obos, the city attorney, who deserves to be disbarred for misleading and lying the way that Vicky Gaynor is doing. But the crazy thing is the four commissioners seem to like it. They've got Stockholm syndrome. They're all wearing blue shirts. They like being abused. It's sick. It is sick. They are. Look at them. This is like a Hunger Games. Now, I was saying there were 8 public comments in public commentary. There were 8 public commentaries, and there were 9 public commentaries, and one, my man Tony Bostic, he went up there and said, all these damn people over here are fools, and they should be kicked out of here. Now, I kind of like Tony Bostic. I do. He's wrong. Tony just doesn't like these people, and he does like Ricky Ramey a lot. But damn, Tone, jeez, dude, come on, man. I'm kind of like Tony, though. I mean, if I grew up here, I'd probably be just like Tony. I'd be the most militant mother you ever saw in your life. Oh, boy. But 8-1 said, what in the hell? And they were all great, and I wish I could feature all of them. Jerry and Jody with the Beacon. Chrissy McElroy went up there. You had Judy Tinder went up there. Rich Walker, a bunch of people. But I'm going to show you Tho Bishop's comment, and then we're going to hear the mayor's public statement. And then we'll listen to a few of the commissioners up there with Stockholm Syndrome who love being lied to. All right, let's listen to Tho Bishop.
Every single vote, there's going to be people upset, people that are not. You guys came into a very difficult situation. Lynn Haven was facing a number of problems, and yet Chief Ramey has brought a dark cloud back to the city. But thankfully, that dark cloud has a silver lining. You have the opportunity to demonstrate that this commission has the ability to hold accountable city officials that have failed their duty to the people. I also want to come here as an advocate. I believe that you guys are getting bad information. Listening to the pre-commission meeting, I was furious, not at the situation, but for the way that you as a commission were treated. You were told that you can't take action against Chief Ramey because of a fear of a lawsuit. I'm sorry, I have talked to state legislators, I have talked to attorneys, I have talked to other city managers. There is no protected class given to a chief law enforcement officer. You can fire him at will, and in this case, you certainly have will. You've also been failed by your city manager. Now, I'm not here trying to say that she should be fired for this decision. People can make mistakes and be fine at their job. Stability is important with the challenges that the city has. I'm not trying to go there. But it needs to be recognized that when she was informed in January that criminal charges were possible for your chief law enforcement officer, that's the moment all of you should have known. For you guys to learn about this on Facebook, for Bernie Thompson to know more about what's going on in Lynn Haven than you as elected officials.
Wait a minute here. What did he just say? Look at Tho Bishop giving credit. Look at Tho Bishop giving attribution. Everybody's afraid to do that these days, even Tho most of the time. But not one of them. Not one of them said, "Hey, Bernie Thompson, what else do you have, man? I'm trying to do my due diligence." Not one of them asks what I know, And I know more than every single one of them. Every one of them. And I'm not the only one. There are several of us who know. And we're just sort of watching them do what they're doing. I want them to. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep covering it up. Woo! No wonder they're in my computer. All right, so let's get back to it. Tho Bishop giving credit. I can't even believe it. It's been a while, but it's appreciated. Thank you, Tho.
That's not your fault. That's your city manager's fault. I'm coming to you not here to just derail. I come with a recommended course of action. I recognize that you don't want to take action, perhaps, until you can have full access to the public records. The 60-day limit, I understand, does not work well with this meeting. What I will ask, though, is for transparency with the city. You guys should move to add to the next meeting agenda a vote of no confidence on the agenda. That gives you access to all the information that FHP has delivered. It sends to the citizens that you have a firm date where this matter will be considered with the seriousness that it deserves, and to let that play out. Now, also I want to say, though, is that whether or not Chief Ramey is fired or not should come down to whether or not criminal charges come in place. Right? That is not the standard by which this city or any great city should hold its chief law enforcement officer, whether or not he committed a criminal crime. By the video that's been released, by the civil citations that he has agreed to, he has shown himself not fit for the office he deserves. The police.
By the way, the video was not released. The video was obtained by this journalist. All right, but they've seen it. They've seen it. They know. And I should take this time to tell you too, by the way, those of you who we have, I don't know, it's been interesting. More and more of you believe me and are gaining courage. And there was a time a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, that I was the only one dancing on the dance floor, looking like Napoleon Dynamite. And everybody said, look how silly Bernie looks out there dancing like Napoleon Dynamite. But now, over time, a few others jumped on the dance floor. You know, the Beacon ladies got out there and started, dancing around, shaking a tail feather. And now there's a bunch of us out there dancing around. And now it looks like a party. And now people are saying, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to join. So those of you who are sharing information, I appreciate it because, you look at James O'Keefe, for example, on a national level. There are two things that an investigative journalist must have to be successful. One, sources, confidential sources. And there's a bunch of you. And I'm so grateful. And I take care of you. And communicate with me on Proton Mail. That's encrypted. So if you want to email me a tip, it's Bernie Thompson, B-U-R-N-I-E, right over Bernie Thompson at protonmail.com. So investigative journalists need confidential sources and public records. Without those two things, we can't find out jack. We can't prove anything. And so that's why they charge an inordinate amount of money illegally to hide public records. These criminals that are pretending to be, that are masquerading as elected officials, as public servants. They're criminals. And then it's really funny because you got four. Look at this picture. Does that not look at the blue shirts? That's four commissioners, 4-1 vote. They could fix Lynn Haven, but Judy Vandergrift, the worst one of all, is Jamie Warwick. He's the absolute worst. Why do I say that? Because Jamie Warwick is not dumb. He's smart enough to know. In fact, I think he's pretty smart. Smarter than me. Smarter than me am. Okay? Jamie Warwick's smart. But there's something wrong with that guy. And I'm gonna show you in his public comments, in his commissioner comments, something really wrong with him. I'll tell you who I like the most of the four that aren't doing shit. Okay, the one it's late. The one I like the most is Sam Peebles, because I can see in his face he wants to do the right thing, but the young man, his instincts are good, but he doesn't know enough, and he doesn't have really the weight yet. But I can see that his instincts are good. I would encourage him to learn more. And Sam, you should ask. You should reach out to me. Look, man, I've studied this for a quarter of a century, how government works. Formally, dude, I mean, I've studied it formally. I'm trained in this stuff. But I never let education get in the way of, I never let school get in the way of my education, as Mark Twain said. And Tho Bishop can help you as well. Understand the basics of government, because what they do is they present something that looks like it makes sense, and it's not true. The attorneys do, and all the experienced folks there do. I can help you understand it, or not. I mean, but Jamie Warwick's the worst. Judy Vandergrift, I think, I'm not sure she's all that. I'm not sure she's there all the time. I think she's dozes off. And Pat Perno, well, he's just a super nice guy. Doesn't want any conflict. All right, let's get back to this. So Tho Bishop's lighting him up, and his point is really a great point. Your city manager and your mayor did not tell the four of you. They kept you in the dark, and you found out from the Facebook. You ought to be pissed, but they're not pissed. They're scared. They're too scared to act. What kind of people are they? And if somebody gets hurt from this vindictive and vulgar and reckless police chief, it's on you guys. Talking about a lawsuit.
Officers of Lynn Haven deserve better. The citizens deserve better. You guys deserve better. Thank you very much for your service.
All right. So now I want to get to.
Shall not.
All right, let's get.
But looking for that situation.
Here comes the public comments.
The city is not involved in the investigation.
Because you're like, oh, well, they might have known we spoke or we wrote an email. So are they going to target us? Or, oh, they're all great guys now. They didn't like working for that situation. What are you guys going to do? Are you going to tell us what you're going to do? Thank you.
All right. So here comes the doctor of leadership. Here comes Mayor Nelson. Now, you never will hear more condescending arrogance and pomposity. Jesse's not real bright. All right. And Andy's just a bad dude. He's a gaslighter. He's an opportunist. And he has the personality of Jeff McConnell. He reminds me so much of Jeff McConnell and Hector Solis, where they try to say you're wrong and they have the authority and all the stuff, man. I mean, it's just there's not much I dislike more than that. But when you're dumb on top of it, then, man. In regards to, hey, Jesse, it's with regard to, as long as you got all the eyeballs on you, with regard to or regarding, not in regards to. I know it makes you think you sound smart, but it's really dumb, be honest with you. But he would say, I am a doctor and you are not. Okay. So Jesse here is going to make a public statement. You'll never hear another one like this in your whole life. The arrogant pomposity combined with the idiocy and non sequiturs is off the chain. And the four blue shirts here that are held captive have, and I guess, love being flogged. Jeez, man, God. So you're now going to hear Jesse Nelson say the most incredible thing that the mayor will say is that first thing, we're not involved in the investigation. Do you know that means you're breaking the law? Because, again, see that? If you have cause to believe, this is from FDLE, if anybody who employs a police officer has cause to believe that they have committed a violation of good moral character, then they must, according to the law, conduct an internal investigation. And an arrest is, look at the arrow, is a triggering factor. They're breaking the law right now. But Mayor Nelson's going to gaslight you and say that they are not involved in the investigation. So he's basically saying we're breaking the law. And then he's going to say the Constitution prohibits him from following the law. Follow this logic and be ready to get a talking to.
Additional public commentary. Moving on to the mayor's report. This time I will provide a public statement on behalf of the city and our commission regarding our chief of police situation. The city is not involved in the investigation or the review and has no input into the findings or final outcome. While there has been speculation, rumors, and accusations, none of them have been corroborated because the outside investigation remains ongoing.
Oh, hold on. You saw the video, right? That's not corroborated. How's this for an accusation, Jesse? They're basically saying the FHP's just a bunch of, the FHP and Bernie Thompson make all kinds of accusations and rumors. They're saying that this is not what it is. They're saying that there's no evidence. Yeah, the investigation, the outside investigation is still going. You are required by law to do an internal investigation. You're a lawbreaker.
The city is aware of the investigation and is closely monitoring its status. Once the findings are made public, the city manager will evaluate the outcome and will take any and all appropriate action based on facts. As commissioners, our citizens and community have reminded us that we are their voice, and they've elected us to operate in their best interest for the city. Upon becoming commissioners, we all took an oath to support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida first.
Please look at Jamie Warwick's body language. Look, Jamie Warwick is the inmate, the commissioner closest to us, the male closest to us. Look at his body language. And look at Judy Vandergriff. Look at all the blue shirts who look like 4-1. They could vote 4-1 to clean up the city, but they're all too scared. They might get sued. They'd rather somebody get run over. They'd rather get somebody get wrongly arrested. They would rather the city continue to rob people blind. They don't care. What kind of people are they? Look at their body language. And then these are the same people, by the way, who will thank the courage of our first responders. We really appreciate your courage. You don't have, none of you deserve to stand in the presence of first responders who run into the danger. I mean, even in this respect, even Chief Ricky Ramey is more honorable than these people, because Chief Ricky Ramey at least has run into danger and didn't say, well, damn, I might get a broken arm. I might get stabbed. I might get shot. I might get burned if I pull this person out of a car. At least Chief Ricky Ramey has that honor. These people are lower than he is. 4-1 vote. You people are the worst of the worst.
And foremost, in regards to the situation with our chief of police, the 14th Amendment provides guidance on what our immediate action should be as a commission. 14th Amendment, Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor to deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. According to Congress.
Okay. Do you remember I was telling you earlier, like if you were a professional photographer, remember I was saying, and then you had to go watch a group of people talk about how to take pictures, and they don't know how to take pictures, how frustrating it might be if they were telling kids how to take pictures or whatever, and they're giving bad advice. This is how I feel. Like I have studied this stuff. I have degrees in this stuff. I'm a scholar of this stuff, how government works. And to sit here and listen to this guy talk about the 14th Amendment and make it fit in this. I mean, this is knee slapping funny. It's also infuriating, but it's, yeah. Oh my good. Could you imagine if you were a mechanic and I was going to tell you how to fix the motor? I mean, it would be that funny. All right, let's get back to the mayor.
Commentary for the 14th Amendment in regards to due process clause provides that no state may deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The Supreme Court has applied the clause in two main contexts. First, the court has construed that the clause to provide protections that are similar to those of the Fifth Amendment's due process clause, except that government applies to the federal government actions. The 14th Amendment binds the states, and in this case, municipalities. The 14th Amendment's due process clause guarantees procedural due process, meaning that government actors must follow certain procedures before they may deprive a person of a protected life, liberty, or property interest. The court has also construed the clause to protect substantive due process, holding that there are certain fundamental rights that the government may not infringe upon, even if it provides.
I mean, does this not kind of look like the Hunger Games to you? I mean, it looks like the Hunger Games, man. Look at Vicky Gaynor. And all the, you guys look like, I mean, you guys look like, what? Somebody write down what they look like, these guys. Like, if they were all ladies, they'd be like the Stepford Wives. All dressed in blue. It looks like prison guard, man. I mean, y'all protecting, you talk about two-tier justice? You talk about anarcho-tyranny? Look, if you guys are too timid and scared to honor your real oath and let this guy gaslight you, Jamie Warwick, God, he's the worst. The guy took an oath. He served in the Air Force. He had me convinced. Vicky Gaynor, the city manager, and the chief of police, Ricky Ramey, they were going to arrest him when he was knocking on doors. They told him he couldn't knock on doors because he didn't have a soliciting license. And now look at him there on his knees, bowing down to these people, to this anarcho-tyranny. I mean, Jamie Warwick, that's disgusting. Look at him. Look at how hard it is, because he is struggling. God, when you hear his commissioner commentary, yeah, it's bad. But a bunch of tyrants, man. A bunch of gaslighting tyrants who are dumb. That's like a triple whammy.
This will not stand, This aggression will not stand, man.
For now it is, though. For now.
Procedural protections. So based on the Constitution, what act should the commission take regarding our police chief at this time? Although we may have our personal opinions regarding his actions or inactions, as officials that swore an oath to support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, we will give our chief the same rights as every other citizen, which means honor his rights to due process. For some, this may sound as if the commission is taking no action. Actually, we are taking action, which is letting the city manager do her job. Once the findings are made public, the city manager will evaluate the outcome and will take any and all appropriate action based on facts.
She's nodding her head. Yeah. She said,
Mr. Peebles?
Yeah. When after the investigation is concluded, after State Attorney Larry Bassford's ex-girlfriend, the state attorney over in Pensacola, after she concludes her investigation, Ricky Ramey has already said that she's promised him that it's going to be dismissed. Oh, Bernie, that's not what it said. I mean, it's what it said, but what it really said to the letter was, Chief Ramey said he's been given a verbal confirmation that the criminal charge will be dismissed, and he thought that it was in the hands of State Attorney Ginger Madden. So yes, that's what he was saying. All right, let's get back. Let's go. Oh, we got to hear Sam Peebles again. Good instincts, I think, but I mean, he's sitting in a room of grown-ups.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. So I had some great meetings with different people this week regarding the Marina Island, and
So they're gonna go into as though this isn't the issue of the night. They didn't even put it on the agenda, by the way. So he's going to talk about the work of the city, but he'll get around to it. I'm going to kind of like fast forward a little bit so you can hear some of these comments.
the industrial park. I sat down with, talked to you, get to know you better all the way through. Not just listen to what someone might have said, because as we know, things can be taken out of context.
See, this is what's really, hey, Sam, don't do this, man. This is an important point I want to make to you, okay? Like, since they all like to talk about the Bible, you know, if you read the Bible, one of the things that stands out all throughout Genesis, or rather all throughout the Old Testament really, is that you should seek wisdom and discernment. Wisdom, understanding, and discernment as though they were riches. But in order to gain wisdom and discernment, you know what you have to have first? Humility. And that means that you could be wrong. So, therefore, anybody who says misinformation, disinformation, or there is no evidence, you are pretending that you are all-knowing, that you are infallible, that you have all the evidence. You know what you ought to do, really, is have humility, seek to understand, and quit lecturing people like me who told you and could teach you a lot of things about how government works if you gave a damn. But you got to start with humility, man. And the more you learn, the more you'll find out you don't know. And that only makes it fun, because then you find people like Tho Bishop who are much smarter and do know more, and you can learn more. It's a beautiful way to live. But you got to have some humility. And every one of them are going to sit up there and pretend they've got all the facts. That is a bad, ugly personality trait, Sam. Do not emulate these people. I hear that you're not like that. It's a bad personality trait. You don't know more than everybody else. And if you want to look up something interesting, look up the somebody help me if you know what I'm getting at. It's actually been studied. It is a condition where you think that you're smart, but you really, it's just because you don't know, right? The something Kruger effect. Somebody type it out for me, will you please? The something Kruger effect. And it's when, like, for example, it goes back to the photography thing. Like, let's say you take some good pictures and everybody tells you you're a great picture taker, and you think you know more about photography than an actual photographer who studied this. That's because you think there's only this much to know about photography. And you think you've got, because you don't know how much there is to know. But the photographer knows, my God, there's a gigantic universe out there. And I know a little bit of it. But what makes you wise is knowing there's so much more information. What makes you unwise is thinking that there's only this much information and you know most of it. Sam Peebles and the rest of you, well, I think the other ones are just gaslighters, but man, don't do that. This whole misinformation thing, it's the first sign that you're an idiot or you're intellectually dishonest. Come on, man.
I've done my research on this matter. I can't speak for everyone up here, but I want you to know that I can speak for myself when I say I've done my research on this matter. I've listened to concerns. I've reached out to multiple affected parties, and I will continue to do so until we find the right course of action that is legally compliant and in the best interest of Lynn Haven and its citizens. I ask that we have patience, as there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to the human resources side and legalities that come along with it. I've given my opinions to the city manager on different courses of action, and I will continue to do so as more and more information comes in. I understand that there is a call for action from some people here tonight and those that have reached out. I simply ask that to be patient so we can ensure everything is done with full respect to the law. As Benjamin Cardozo said, due process is a growth too sturdy to succumb to the infection of the least ingredient of error.
Oh, Lord,
Thank you.
please. Oh,
Commissioner Perno.
I mean, come on, Sam, have some humility, man. And yes, the Dunning-Kruger effect is what, thanks, Joe. Two Joes. Thank you, guys. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Now, look it up. If you just look on YouTube, it's used to like try to humiliate political enemies. But I mean, it is an interesting thing, and it does explain why some people think that they know a lot more because they don't realize how much there is to know. Sam, come on, man. To sit up there and say that you've done all the research and you know all the answers, and then you're going to quote a wise man, and the fact that we're going to act slowly makes us somehow it's more prudent is absurd. It's absurd, man. Who do you admire in the world? People afraid to get sued? Who do you admire in literature? In the Bible, the people who were really careful not to get sued, the people who didn't want to be targeted and humiliated, or are they your heroes? All right, who's next? Who's next up there? I think it's going to be. Pat or Pat.
Thank you, Mayor. I met with the people at Merrick, again, Mr. Tannehill and his sister. I think right before
so
you
he's
did on the
talking
same
about,
day.
other
Commissioner
stuff,
Peebles
but I think he's going to touch
on
on
that.
Please, Chief.
I'm personally, I'm all about creating a harmony between the two because we'd love to see
still
the
talking
Marine
about
Island actually
another
come to
issue.
life and the ability to get a grant for more research or engineering for possibly a regional stormwater retention.
All right.
Something to take a swing at.
All right. What about the
Two,
chief?
responded to many emails. I've met with city manager.
By the way, come on, Pat. You're the nicest guy up there, but you're not really being very honest. Pat's reply, if you emailed Pat Perno, Commissioner Perno, about Chief Ramey and your concerns, he was so scared to get sued. He's so afraid to get sued that all his reply, when he says I replied to emails, you know what it said? Received, thank you. 3 words. 3 words. Pat, you should have said I replied with 3 words because I'm scared.
I've met with Miss Jennifer. I've met with Ricky Ramey.
Did you meet with me?
I want you to know that the best course of action for the city of Lynn Haven will happen. And it's
We don't believe you,
our
Pat.
city manager who is doing the investigation.
The city manager is doing the investigation? Hold on. Do you remember when Jesse Nelson, the mayor, started off and he said the city is not investigating this, and now you've got Pat Perno say that she's doing the investigation? You mean the same one that kept you in the dark for a month? And they like it. They like that Vicky Gaynor lies to them. Look at all of them. What do they like? How would you describe them? Like Stockholm Syndrome, Stepford Wives? What? I mean, look at the uniformity. All of them are, look at them, being so, looking at each other like, oh yeah, they can't even get it out of their mouths. Wait till you hear Jamie Work. Oh my God. You know what Jamie Work's going to do? I'm going to just tell you now. I'm going to, what do they call it? Spoil a plot. Jamie Work's actually going to, well, he's going to blame you.
Hand caught in the cookie jar? Sometimes bad habits continue even into adulthood. I'm El Saulene, 850-215-0628. Let me help you.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777.
Perno says, look, city manager Vicky Gaynor, she's doing the investigation and she's going to do the right thing. Okay. All right, Pat.
And she's doing her work. And I feel that at the end of the day, it's going to be dealt with.
Nobody
So,
believes you, Pat. Nobody.
I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to end my comments, and thank you, Mayor.
Your
Thank you,
reputation.
Commissioner Parno. And must say, I do like the new 10 for 10 that you have. So,
Thank you, yeah, it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Going on the menu, too.
yeah, so I do like that. Commissioner Ward?
Yes, sir. So,
What that was about was Pat Perno owns the restaurant. What's it called? Why do I always forget? He's a super nice guy, and it's a great restaurant. It's the Irish restaurant. Somebody write down the name of his restaurant, please. And that's so the mayor just wanted him to point out how good the food was. Well, now Jamie Warwick is gonna. This is one of the most. This bugs me. All right, Jamie Warwick's gonna say, "Yeah, look at all the people who came here for this, but they're not good citizens when it comes to boring stuff. But boy, do they ever come here for this." Listen to the contempt. He's going to blame you guys. Like he's going to turn this on criticizing you guys, but it's kind of like a snarky kind of on the sly criticism. Man, could you imagine having even a friendship with any of these people? God.
I think it was sometime last week. I had the pleasure to attend the Mosley 50th anniversary, and I know Commissioner Peebles and both to speak with you.
Community people.
Brought to the commission, and there have been some things that have been controversial.
There we go.
I've always gotten past.
Okay.
And so this is one of the conversations that we had, and we talked a while. I'm always available. My number is 850-391-1217. Be happy to speak with you on the phone, speak to you in person, whatever.
I passed up some of it. I'm not going to go back because it's getting late. But he said, "Yeah, I offer myself up, and no one ever comes to meet with me, and but boy, you sure come for this."
Or by email, however you like to be contacted. But if you know me, I'm also a person that likes to research quite a bit. And I'm very methodical in how I approach things, and not trying to toot my own horn, not trying to brag, but things I have brought to the commission,
Look at Vicky
and there have
nodding.
been some things that have been controversial, I've always gotten past. And I believe that's partly because of how much I research and how methodical I get.
Yeah, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but the stuff I try to get, all the ordinances I try to get passed, it gets passed. Because I do my research, and it takes me a long time because I'm really methodical. Do you know that when, I'm going to tell you a story. When it was March, no, I'm sorry. It was March. It was December 13, 2022. And I was in a federal courtroom. There was an evidentiary hearing, and Vicky Gaynor was on the witness stand, and federal judge Mark Walker was presiding. And they were asking the defense attorneys in the prosecution of the persecution of the real, just, and true mayor of Lynn Haven, Margo Anderson, and James Finch, the people who were the whistleblowers who were persecuted by the bad guys. And she was on the witness stand. And she had said all kinds of lies. And why do you say that, Bernie? Well, because she said under oath to FBI agents, one story. Remember? I walked in and Michael White was having sex with the FEMA lady. Oh, I grabbed my pearls and ran on out of there. Yeah, that's what she said. And then she told the judge, no, they weren't having sex. Under oath. She was just slumped over. If you ever catch me, I'd rather it be having sex than a woman is slumped over. You know, come on. Hey, you didn't check on her? What was he doing to her? But totally different stories under oath. And it happened over and over and over and over. And guess who was sitting right behind me in the courtroom? Mr. I do my research himself. Right behind me was Commissioner Warwick. And when we left, I said, can you believe that? What Vicky said, this. And I'll never forget Jamie Warwick said, oh, I didn't hear that. You didn't hear that? The showstoppers? You didn't. What kind of research are you doing, dude? You didn't hear that? Now he runs around on her coattail all the time. The woman who wanted to arrest him for campaigning. Vicky Gaynor and Chief Ramey wanted to arrest him and Brian Gray for knocking on doors and campaigning. She said, you need a solicitation license. First time ever. And even the supervisor of elections, Mark Anderson, he had to call Vicky Gaynor and say, that's not true. Quit violating the Constitution that they're pretending to give a damn about in this damn Hunger Games proceeding. That's the kind of research he does.
So I just want the residents to know this is not something we're just putting under the rug and we're trying to cover up.
Yes, you are.
Of course, we all know about it. And I have been in close contact with the city manager, the labor attorney, a lot of different people. So I want people to understand that.
Hey,
So,
Jamie,
again-
you didn't know about it because the woman to your left didn't tell you about it for a month. I told you about it. I mean, this is intellectual dishonesty. Big time. I need to wrap up. That's enough. I don't even want to do it anymore. You go ahead and watch Judy Vandergriff on your own. Man, that kind of stuff. She lied. She didn't tell you, and you're gonna say, "Well, I'm going to do my research," and we all know about it. You wouldn't have known about it. Nobody would have known about it if I didn't break the damn story. And I knew all hell would break loose when I did it, but it had to be told. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Can I do that? I'll look at the comments later. I think the show's under attack again. Look at the numbers. There's some weird stuff going on, man. Weird stuff. But we're gonna find out who's doing it too. Oh man, this is gonna be great. All right, I want to wrap it up. Thank you so much for those of you who support my efforts and throw a tip in the tip jar so that I can continue to do this at patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. It's anonymous. It is easy, and you can quit at any time. And of course, thank you to the Unknown Patriot for your support. And with that, I'm going to wrap up. I'll see you soon.